Hello folks, I hope you're having a great day today. Today I want to take a look at the next chapter of my Living with HD series. Today what I want to do is take a look at what it's like to write with somebody with Huntington's disease. I am somebody who writes, and so I want to talk about what that is like. Both from a couple of different things. Again, this is a part of my ongoing series about what it's like to live with HD, and I take a look at different elements of the condition and living with different things. Previously, I looked at what it was like to play Dungeons and Dragons as somebody who's a nerd. As you can tell from the many different nerd books up here on my library, I talked about what that was like. And now what I want to do is talk about one of the things I do both as a passion project as well as my part-time gig as a writer. So I do a couple of things as a writer. The first thing that I do is I published more than 1,000 articles for various magazines and websites on gaming. Now I've done that since 2002 is when I wrote my first article. Most of those have been for pay. I have volunteered a few articles here and there because I enjoy it, but most of those have been for pay. And I've written from everything from Beckett's magazines to Wizards of the Coast, that's owned by Hasbro. I've written for their website. Right now I currently have 2 columns a week that I keep up for, as well as a bunch of other things too. So I have a lot of different places I write for. Most of my game articles, although not all of them, but most of them have been about Magic the Gathering, the card game, and in fact 2 of my columns that I write each week are also about that game too. So I have to keep up with that. I have to make sure I'm writing that and get that taken care of. In addition, I'm also one of the, as a passion project, I like to write here and there. I've written a book, which you folks have already known about. It's a Jesus book. It's called Love for One Another. It has some biographical elements to it. I've also written a book that is a novel. It's the first of a series of fantasy novels. I have not sold that. I've sent it out for an editor to get it professionally polished. I don't know if I'll ever will sell it or not. That was probably more of a passion project than anything else. I enjoyed writing it. But I have done a lot of writing, from my book to a number of other things that I've written for my columns. And one of the things that I've noticed is that ever since I've started with my writing, what that's like, I have in fact had a few things that have happened, and they've happened progressively more and more and more. The first of those things is my actual physical typing itself. Because Huntington's disease affects the aspects of your condition, like your hands and your motions and your physical aspects, what ends up happening is that when I go to type with the keys, my fingers will regularly miss the keystrokes, and as a result of them missing them, I'll regularly have typos. In fact, I have more typos than I do than most. It's not that dissimilar to some other things that I've gotten sent to me. For example, I had this lady in my family named Alberta. She was my stepmom's mother. She was going through some issues later in her life. As somebody living in her 70s and 80s, she sent me an email once. It was one of the first emails she'd ever sent. And it had a massive number of typos, both in the title and in the body of the work itself. And, my initial sort of taking of these articles, it has exactly the same thing, right? I have a number of these sort of initial typos that I have to go through. So it takes me longer to type and to do those sorts of things than it used to. That's also true, by the way, for my emails that I send out at the work. My communications that I sent out at work, the documents I create at work, like manuals and those sorts of things that I do on a daily basis in work, that's also impacted by the position too. But specifically when it comes to writing, I'm just making so many typos and so many mistakes that I do get, it does delay my work considerably. And then finally, one of the other things that happens is not just, Huntington's disease doesn't just attack you, physically, it also attacks you mentally too. And my own mind has atrophied, and I don't think I'm as clever a writer as I used to be, or an outside the box writer as I used to be. I used to have more articles that would kind of challenge the field, that would do something new, unusual. My writing style used to be more, had more verbosity to it. It was more interesting to read. You know, when I go back and read, you know, one of the first articles I wrote and compare it to now, I can definitely see that I used to be sharper than I am now. My articles aren't bad, but they're just no longer, you know, like at sort of a previous level. I mentioned in one of my previous sort of videos in this one, I talked about my mental slide, that I've gone from somebody who used to be a genius level IQ to now just smart. My IQ has dropped to about 122, or right about there, rather than where it used to be up in the 40s, where I was at a genius level, I was gifted, and so forth. And I think because of that mental slide, that sort of, you've seen my writing also, I think, suffer too, and it's become less and less interesting. And now, luckily, I'm writing nonfiction. It's not like you need me to have like some great Pulitzer Prize winning, you know, I'm writing, but I have noticed it. It's there too. In addition to the writing that I have, because I have more and more typos now than I used to, and that sort of thing. There will come a time, I know, when my writing will get to the point where I will no longer be able to publish. That still seems like it's going to be a few years away, but that will happen, and I know it will. So anyway, I'll go ahead and leave you to it there. Let me know what you thought about in the comments below. Did you like me going into detail? Are there any other things that you want me to talk about in my life? I'd be happy to talk with you about them more, whether it's the, you know, something physical like typing, something mental, like, you know, the things that I've written about like previously, like Dungeons and Dragons, the my own mental degradations that I've had from falling from my IQs, as well as other things that happen too. And I'm happy to talk about a number of those sort of things with you here on the channel for you. If you like this video, please feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button. I do one of these living with HD videos each week, and I like to publish them on each Wednesday for you all. So if you like this, please feel free to hit that subscribe channel. And then finally, hey, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day for watching this video all the way to the end. We all have such busy days, busy lives, and so many things happening. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's very humbling, and I appreciate that. So thanks again, and have a good one.